Virgo, welcome. It's Erin here, Erin Scott, with the Alchemy of Holism, and we are back with an art channeling scope. Now, I am doing gouache this month, so I was inspired to do gouache versus the charcoal and the colored pencil, and it has been fantastic because there's been such flow. So there's my little palette of colors here. Let's go ahead and get started. We are tapping into the natural arc. This is nature's natural evolutionary arc for the Virgo archetype. Now, you are distinct and you're born with a different degree sun in a different decan of Virgo. So it's, you know, it's varied for each of you. But that said, there is a particular growth narrative that is natural for your egoic Virgoan encoding. So that's what we're tapping into. Let me go ahead and let's see what wants to come for you. Now, the colors have been fascinating to see what colors are coming first and ultimately so let me just tap in a little bit, and then we'll talk about it. I do hope that you're all doing well. Now, one thing that we'll talk about here a little bit is that this particular Pisces new moon, sun moon conjunct, was conjuncted Chiron, and it conjuncted Chiron essentially at the same point that Venus and Mercury conjuncted that point 2 weeks prior. So life is, the cosmos is, we are naturally going through a process of wound alignment, meaning wound healing, but a matter of confronting truthfully our wounds, seeing them clearly, owning them. And this was all happening trine to Jupiter and Scorpio, which was activating that truth-telling, you know, obligation. It's the natural cycle. We have to get very real with the wounds. So it has been an intense process for a lot of people. So I hope you're all well. It's important. Self-care is critical, and self-truth-telling is also critical, because we're not going to heal if we're not honest with ourselves. Okay. So I'm using gouache paint, and gouache is very similar to watercolor, although you can get quite opaque with it. It's a fabulous paint to use. I love it. I've used it for many years, actually. So it was calling. It was definitely calling for this month with the channelings. And there'll be some other goodies too coming through. I'm going to be working with nature a bit, which I'm very much looking forward to. I'm waiting for spring to arrive. Right now it's very cold outside, but gorgeous, just stunning. So what's happening for Virgo? So essentially, Virgo, if you've not tuned in before, what I'm doing is just letting form, symbol, picture come through, and then we'll talk about it. Although some things, there's been moments during this process where I've actually stopped and then done some speaking, and then we'll go back and paint more. It just depends. Whatever the organic process is really what's happening. You might hear some music in the background. And if you do, wonderful. It's a bit of joyful addition to your reading then. Very, very interesting, Virgo. Like, this has been, I mean, they've all been different and unique for sure, but I have no idea what this is. Let's just see what keeps coming. What I'm getting is that there's a lot of mental focus, a lot of validation of the mind. That's one thing that I'm getting, which needs to be lightened up on. There's some seriousness here. With all the gray-black, there's seriousness happening for some of you. So some of the arc of the growth is you're moving through a process of kind of Saturnian seriousness, okay? Which, by the way, is certainly not atypical for the now. It has been an intensely serious time with a lot going on. But the growth edge inherent with this kind of process is to be in the process, honor it, allow it, and also see what the wound is that might still be triggered. Keep in mind, we're talking about this cycle mid-March to mid-April that is this Chiron-infused cycle, which was about attending to the wounds within. So it could be that there's quite a bit of serious perspective about what resides within. Let's talk about this. There might be more that's coming. I'm going to put down my paints though. Let's talk about this. Firstly, we have this kind of vessel with red liquid. Now that could represent like blood. It could represent an actual leak of vital energy. It could represent past wounds, past bloodshed, literal or figurative. So it could be that in this mind, which I have to tell you, that's really what I'm getting. With all of this kind of gray, I'm getting literal gray matter, which is the mind. So I'm getting in the mind, Virgo, over the course of this cycle, there is almost two minds that are activated, but pretty heavily laced with seriousness, with how you're viewing the thoughts, how you're having a relationship with your perceptions, with your habits of thinking and thoughts. However, half of your mind is accessing green, horizon, and growth. This is a horizon line. And the green is grass. It's like spring. It's new beginnings. It's new growth. So what I'm getting for Virgo is you are able to see a horizon line and growth. But there's the other half of you that's also maybe overly focused on pieces and parts, elements, all these little kind of dabs and doodles here. So you're picking up the past here and the future there and a worry there and the pattern there, all of this stuff. And we'll talk about this because I'm getting a particular image for this for sure. But with regards to the gray matter activation here, there's a growth frame of mind that you are able to access, and there's green around this little blob. This gray blob has green around it. So it's almost as if there is growth and there is some optimistic thought around a particular memory. That's what I get this is. It's a particular memory. For you individually, it could be a relationship, and it could be something else. It could be a dream that you had for your life, for your career. Okay? But you see hope around it. You see growth happening with it. You're able to see with fresh eyes, which is interesting because I just did the reading for Aquarius. and it was about seeing with fresh eyes. For you, I think you're able to remind your mind with regards to a memory or an event, a circumstance, a situation that you hold in your mind, and you're able to re-see it. This is good. This is very, very good. So in here you have this kind of vessel with this blood, this past battles, past bloodshed, past wounding, you know, and lots of worry and thoughts and focus. But there is some horizon growth optimism, and there is some rethinking about at least one particular memory that you hold and have, okay? And with regards to this image at the bottom, not everybody's going to see this, and I want you to honor what you're seeing. But what I get with it is a sled, like a snow sled. And a sled moves across icy water, snow. And so it could be that for the Virgoan cycle now, there's almost like a vehicle that is able to traverse through icy waters. Waters, of course, represents the emotions, the intuitive capacity, your intuitive way of operating. But it's certainly emotions. Icy snow is icy emotions. And it could be that there's a numbness within some of you, an emotional numbness from all the bloodshed, from previous events and circumstances and relationships. And we all have that. But for the Virgo cycle, there's something here that is really taxing you with regards to frozen emotions. And it could be that the sled is representing you've gone years sliding through life over the frozen emotions. But you know what? There's green emerging. And there's green emerging. And the other thing that I want to say, Virgo, is these yellow lines. There's this big swath of yellow, yellow, yellow. Now they're kind of hatch marked. For me, they're big though, they're huge. It almost is in the sky. If we're looking at a plane here, it's like this is the sky. So in your mind's expansive nature, golden yellow, butter yellow, this is called Naples yellow, which refers to Naples, Italy. So it could be that there's some bright, optimistic, vacation-like, for those of you that do not live in Italy and have thought about vacationing there, it could be that there's some aspect of joy, of freedom, of something different, of new cultural expansion, new learnings, etc. Yellow represents joy and expansion and creativity. It represents the will and your persona, how you emanate yourself out into the world. You have some different ideas about how you want to emanate yourself out into the world. That's what I'm getting from this yellow. It's like I have big, thick kind of thoughts or passions or ideas about the self, because this represents the individual, the self, who you are, okay? But I get that you have big, chunky ideas about maybe goals that you have, right? But underneath this, the expansiveness of your mind, of imagining the next thing for you, your life, your path ahead, underneath it is this. Underneath it is maybe some recognition of the frozen emotions, the numbness, and the need to melt it, the need to transmute it, the need for the green to spread out, okay? So I'm going to say this, as I did, it was very specific to Aquarius's reading. For those of you with Virgo and Aquarius, this is definitely going to be a fit. This is about you coming to some realization, Virgo, this month, about emotional value and the need to feel again. The need to feel again. Bloodshed happened. It was valid. It was valid. The pain was valid. But living in it is not valid because it's not reality. It's not in the now. It's not present moment. It's critical that you do self-inquiry. For those of you interested in learning about my holosynthesis work, I highly recommend you contact me about getting real. Getting real with the wounds, understanding your soul prints narratives. Knowing the wounds is a large component of the freedom, because then you know what's at hand, you know what the encodings are, thus you know what the growth edges are. Then you can participate mindfully in your own growth and evolution. Invaluable, especially now, everybody. I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. For the next 3 years, we're all going through tremendous shift and change. It's critical to get really, really real, truthful, honest, aligned, and at ease. This is about becoming free. Becoming free. Because really, the encodings are what they are. They're valid, and it's your small self's reality. Your higher self is living many different life streams. This is one. This is one. So when you start to get, kind of triangulate out into your higher self's perspective and live in that space, really kind of orient your whole life from that higher iteration, guess what? Life becomes lighter, much less serious, and we're able to tap into the emotional field more readily, because we know that the pain comes and it goes. It's only the human that grips on to the pain, and we make it an identity. It's not an identity unless you as a human make it so. Nature out there that you're seeing, it doesn't grab onto the past and make it so. It imbues it by symbiosis, but it grows, it evolves. It doesn't make itself stuck. Humans do that. So everybody, this is the Carolyn Mace archetype cards. I'm going to pull the prime growth edge for you over the course of this particular cycle of your evolution. Virgo. Beautiful. Look at this, everybody. Let's see if you can see that. Yep, Lover. Lover. Lover is the prime growth edge for you. This is about accessing love. What is the shadow, what is wanting to be grown out of, is the obsessive passion that harms others or self-destructive devotion. Blood in the battlefield, a heart broken and left to bleed, whatever that is, this could be passion as well. But it could be that love is definitely, for some of you, this is representing maybe heartbreak or heart bleed from love in the past. But here, what wants to be grown out of and matured out of is obsessive passion that harms others and a self-destructive devotion. So being overly obsessed, overly focused on the other. Lover here is great passion. What wants to be evolved for you over the course of the cycle is activating great passion and devotion and unbridled appreciation of someone or something. Now, the thing that I want to add here that she doesn't, which is critical, is this unbridled appreciation for someone or something is out of your pure source field. It's you emanating your love out, but it's without expectation of a return. There's not an application of the other must respond to me. This is about you activating lover. You are the lover and the lovey, both. Okay? That's the growth edge. Beautiful, Virgo. Powerful. It is a powerful time. You know, we continue to all go through it. So for those that would like to be in touch, the website is thealchemyofholism.com. Check out the holosynthesis work, the soul print identification, etc. And I send you all so much love, truly, and support for the month ahead. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.